I want to talk about one of my new books. It's either going to be one book or two books. I really could write enough information where it would kind of require two books. But I guess I could fit it in one book. But the information is about, and I know you're going to laugh when you hear it, but it's about what women want, at least in a relationship. And the other side, of course, is what men want. Now, I know you're probably thinking, oh gosh, here's another guy making an attempt to figure out women, and of course he's going to fail miserably. Well, first of all, I would challenge that notion by saying the idea that women can't figure out, or excuse me, that men can't figure out women is an idea that has been propagated in our society only in recent history, mainly after the women's liberation movement in the 1960s. After feminism, then men started being presented as these buffoons, these idiots just stumbling their way through life, whereas these women were presented as these complex, brilliant, angelic anomalies of nature. And while I'm not diminishing the value of women, I'm also saying here that men aren't dumb. They are the ones, really, they are brilliant. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, all of our greatest scientists, all of our greatest engineers, the modern world was created by men, really. It's not to say that women didn't play a part. No, they did. But it was more of a supportive role, domestically speaking. And that's not sexist. That's just a fact. That is a fact of how we got here. It's, up to this point. Now, you might argue that things are different today, but that's irrelevant because that's not how we got here in the first place. So, I believe that you can figure out women. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say something that you might not have heard before. I believe that actually women are more simple than men. Now, what I mean by that is they are not complex. There's a basic algorithm when it comes to how a woman operates. Now, the only reason people have trouble figuring out a pattern in their actions, it's not because they're complex. It's because they're sporadic. Something that is sporadic in nature is not synonymous with something that is complex. There is a correlation with complexity and a chaotic or sporadic manifestation. Those things often go hand in hand, but we know that correlation is not the same thing as causation. So I'm proposing that women are actually very simple. It's just on a level that men often don't go to intellectually. And that's why they cannot predict a woman's actions. And therefore they say, oh, they're complex. Well, anyway, the book, What Women Want, it's really focused on relationships. Let's see here. From all of my numerous studies, I've boiled everything that women want from a man down to 3 key things. When they look at a man, they're attracted to these 3 things. They need, to some degree, these 3 things, or perhaps 2 or more. Maybe not all 3 at any given time, but maybe at least 2 out of 3. They need these things here. The first thing is rapport, or maybe I should say status, or reputation. But for the sake of using one word, I just chose rapport. The fastest way I can explain this is women love rock stars. Now, the rock star may or may not be rich. Maybe he's not a rock star. Maybe he's just a musician in a bar. Women are going to be drawn to any man who is socially exalted or even just socially accepted in the community. And this is because at the fundamental feminine level, the woman needs to be socially accepted. It's a very feminine trait, social acceptance, because that's how females operate and survive. Now, males, on the other hand, the masculine trait, instead of finding validation through being socially accepted into the common group, the masculine trait is they find validation in possessing a resource. So, for example, say you have a bunch of cows or goats or something, and they're drinking water out of this trough, but they're all lined up on the trough. Well, say, these are all female animals here. Well, they have to kind of create an opening for another female to get in there, and she's able to drink some water. Okay. Well, that's what that is social acceptance. It's because the female doesn't have the power to overcome any of these other animals. She has to gain entry by their consent. That's why at the fundamental feminine level, the woman desires social acceptance. She needs that security, and that it's how the female survives. So she desires that in a mate. When other girls are gossiping about this guy and talking about how awesome he is, or how big his cock is, or how it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the rapport. It excites her. It makes a guy, the glory that emanates around him makes him more beautiful in her eyes. Just knowing that he's popular, or that he's a well-known person, or that he's highly esteemed, that alone makes him appear more attractive in her eyes. It's because of the biological reality that I just exposed to you about how women need and operate in the realm of social acceptance. Okay, the next thing they need